Welcome to the United Cast. It's Entertainment Talks podcast for Man United and football. I'm your host Matthew, and today I'm here to talk about how Manchester United play football. Sort of. There's been a lot of question marks around what tactics does Ole Gunnar Solskjaer use, what is the style of play, what is the game plan, what are the ideas around Manchester United's playing style or plan or any of those sorts of things. And I'm sort of here to tell you about roughly how that goes. Roughly, again, it's sort of a bit of a mixed bag in terms of what the actual idea and plan sort of is. This team lineup I've got here, ignore the bench and ignore all these players for now. This is how I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to line up when he's got everybody back. Of course, the only person missing from this lineup at the moment is Marcus Rashford, because he's injured at the moment, but he's due to be back next month. I still believe Ole will start with De Gea, this usual back four, Fred and McTominay here, and then Bruno, Ronaldo, Pogba on the left, and then that will automatically push Rashford to the right side of the pitch. So yeah, there you go with that. So how we usually play football, let's say when we've got possession of the ball and that sort of thing in our own half. Let's start with our own half when we got the ball. De Gea usually plays it out to the centre backs, or usually to one of the centre backs. Then we start doing the old sidewards, backwards passing, doing a bit of this. This is how the ball will not back to De Gea. Well, sometimes it does go back to De Gea actually. I do wish I had a actual free mouse instead of one that clicks on a player, but anyway. This is usually what we do with the ball. Not for this long, although sometimes we can do it for quite a long time. The problem that starts here is because these two in the midfield, Fred and McTominay, can't often make forward passes. They can sometimes, it sometimes happens, but nowhere near enough. So what ends up happening is, let's say Maguire's got the ball, right? If he does pass it to Fred or to McTominay, doesn't have to be the player that's in front of him, but just one of them. Usually Fred or McTominay will turn around and they might pass it to Rashford, because Rashford might drop a little deeper, or Pogba might do that because Fred might pass it to McTominay, and then McTominay might pass it to Pogba, but then the ball doesn't usually go much further than that. What then ends up happening is, because these four players usually are pushed further up the pitch, Fred and McTominay then get the ball in the midfield, right, and then usually play it to one of the centre-backs, because Lindelof does this quite a lot as well, and then usually they just do a forward pass like this to try to get it to one of these front four, because these two, because they're not good in midfield, can't make the, let's say, the killer pass, the killer through ball to one of these three players to start off with, and that creates a problem. So what we end up doing is, a lot of people call us sort of Polo FC or Donut Football Club, and what they mean by that is we've got good, I mean, Wan-Bissaka can be questionable at times, but you've got a good defence just generally. You've got very good midfield. Now Bruno's usually pushes up like this anyway, so you got that. So if you go round like this, ignore Fred and McTominay for a second. If you go round like this, good for the most part, good. He's usually pushed further up, good, right? It creates a sort of hole in the middle of the pitch where we can't usually work the ball through the midfield. And then, as I said, what ends up happening is one of these two centre-backs gives the ball to one of these two, and they either pass it sidewards, like that, or back to one of them. And there's even occasions sometimes where McTominay or Fred might push forward slightly, turn back around, pass it to Shaw, and then the ball ends up back at the goalkeeper. That's happened quite a lot of times, actually, where we've actually tried to work the ball forward to about here, to just past the middle of the pitch, and then for some reason we end up passing back to the goalkeeper. What's not happening here, what's supposed to be happening but isn't happening, is because we do play it out from the back and we do kick the ball longer, but only when we've tried the sideways backwards passing for too long, and we decide to just punt the ball up the pitch to a Ronaldo or a Rashford or a Pogba or a Bruno who's further up the pitch. What's supposed to happen but doesn't is De Gea passes the ball out to Maguire or Varane, maybe one of them two passes it to each other, then passes it up to Fred or McTominay, then the ball's supposed to go to Bruno, Rashford or Pogba, then the ball's supposed to go to Ronaldo-ish, and then we're supposed to work the ball around the final third and then create a goal. Now if you're the opposition team, you would notice that Manchester United are doing this. So what would you do? You would just sit back, wait for that long pass to happen. You can settle yourselves. While we're doing all this sideways backwards passing, you as the team can just settle yourself in your own half, wait for that long pass up to a Pogba or a Rashford or Ronaldo or Bruno who's pushed further up the pitch. Then take the ball off of us and then just counter attack. That's often what ends up happening. So yeah, that's kind of seems to be the plan. Or you get a situation where our team ourselves notices we're doing the sideways backwards passing like this. Then Pogba or Bruno or Rashford, or it might be Greenwood or Sancho or whoever, is going to end up dropping deeper, picking up the ball themselves, and basically creating a chance out of individual brilliance is the phrase that's been used, and the phrase that I agree with as well. Yeah, that's basically what ends up happening. But let's take McTominay and Fred out. Let's put Matic and Van de Beek in, and let's get, I think I've put Lingard on the West Ham team. I'll just use Mata in place of Lingard for a minute, and then I don't think Martial's on this team either. I want to talk about what happened against West Ham. I'm just going to use Greenwood for an example. Just pretend that Greenwood and Mata are Martial and Lingard for a minute. Actually, let me swap them out, because Mata did actually play in that game. Let me swap Bruno out for Mengi. Let's just pretend that Mengi is Lingard, Greenwood is Martial, Mata was playing. Who was the other player? I think it was Sancho, who I do actually have. I'm pretty sure it was Sancho that was starting the game. I had to create a Sancho, so you're gonna have to excuse that, because Dortmund aren't on this game basically. Now what ended up happening against West Ham in the Carabao Cup is Donny and Van de Beek were doing those forward passes because they're better at doing it. I know that Maguire and Varane weren't there. It was Lindelof and Bailey, but I guess we could put those in just for the example. I think I took Lindelof off this team, so again, don't worry about that. It was Bailey and Lindelof in defence. We were still doing the whole play the ball out from the back, but Donny and Matic were actually making things happen. They were passing the ball forwards, making chances. Donny was roaming around, passing the ball, pinging off passes like that. But what ended up happening was, because, again, just pretend that that's Martial and that's Lingard. Martial had no movement, so he didn't help with getting into position himself when those passes were coming in. Mata was pinging passes about as well. And Lingard was just... all Lingard kept doing was just, I'm going to charge forward like this. Just keep charging forward and keep trying to shoot. And it was terrible. So there you have two different kind of examples of where the midfield can work with Donny, Van de Beek and Matic. You take them out for Fred and McTominay, who can't do that job, but then usually for the first team players, you do have the likes of Pogba, Ronaldo, Bruno, and then maybe Rashford or Greenwood or Sancho. So it's sort of like we put in two different games, we put together two different good halves of a team, in a way. At the end of the day, if you put the two better examples together of the Pogba, Ronaldo, Bruno, Rashford team with Van de Beek and Matic, Van de Beek and Matic will actually do those forward passes, those creative passes, and then you'll have the better players of Pogba, Bruno, Ronaldo, and then whoever plays on the right to create those goals. It's almost like I tell you what Ollie's kind of doing. I don't know if he's doing it by accident or doing it on purpose. He's got this idea of playing the ball through the middle, but because of the two players that he picks here, in these two positions, it doesn't end up happening because it's Fred and McTominay often, and Fred and McTominay are not as good as doing those threaded through ball passes as Van de Beek and Matic is. So we end up just knocking the ball left, right and backwards until we punt the ball up the pitch, and then the opposition often grab it. So those are two different examples of where Ollie's kind of trying to do the right thing in a way, but it doesn't work because of his team selections. But he's not realising, what he's not doing is he's not realising that Fred and Matic, or maybe he does realise it but doesn't want to change it, I don't know, that Fred and McTominay can't do those passes, or they'll do them like once or twice in a 90-minute game. But for Ollie, Fred and McTominay are the defensive safety net for him. They are the two players that sit in front of that back four, which basically makes us play with basically makes us play with 6 defensive players, and then whoever these 4 players are going to be up the top often end up with no service. So that's just my kind of observation of what we're kind of doing wrong and why it's not working and that sort of thing. So anyway, that's the video. Let me know if you agree, if you disagree. Have you noticed this pattern kind of? Yeah, what do you think we do about it? I mean, the answer to me is you play Van de Beek with somebody else who can pass. I suppose the longer term or the shorter term problem is Matic hasn't got the legs to do it 90 minutes every week. Donny has, or he can build himself up to do that if he was not on the bench every week. That's why we needed a CDM so badly, so that you could play a new CDM with Van de Beek. Now you can have it so that Van de Beek and Pogba are both pinging off those passes, but that's too attacking. Although I'd like to see us try that anyway, just for the sake of trying it. But then if you play Pogba and Van de Beek, you've not got that defensive play there, because Van de Beek and Pogba are both very attacking players, especially Pogba. So I don't know what we do about it. So yeah, anyway, let me know your thoughts. What do you think of what I've said here? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Have you noticed anything else about the way that we play? Sometimes it can just be very sort of freeform and very sort of just guesswork, which also is a bad way to play football. But let me know what you think. You can either write down in the comment section of this YouTube video, you can email us, matthew@entertainmenttalk.org. You can find us as well on Twitter, eTalkUK. You can find the contact page and information on the website as well, that sort of stuff. So get in contact, let me know what you think. Yeah, in the meantime, you can subscribe to us here on YouTube, Entertainment Talk Plays, both for these types of videos and for Let's Plays as well. And also for your new YouTube notification videos for our different podcasts and whatnot. So check out all of that as well. You can find the podcasts themselves on entertainmenttalk.org. You can also find us as well if you search for Entertainment Talk on your favourite podcast platform. Thanks for listening, and let's see what this manager does going forward. Take care, thanks, and goodbye.